April 14th, day before tax day. And something's kind of bugging me. And it's about the Bundy case. And of course, latest news is unless you're there, it's hard to really know what's really going on. And even if you're there, something could be going on that you don't know about, that you're not aware about until you hear it on the news, and even that is not accurate. But I've heard stories back and forth how on the one hand, on the Bundy, if you're on the Bundy side, it's like the government's overstepped their bounds on everything. And if you're on the government side or on the side of law, you're like, well, this guy should have been paying all these grazing fees. He's a thief. Other people are paying these grazing fees. What makes him special? And I kind of ran across this supposed story, letter that Shiree Bundy Cox, the rancher's daughter, wrote. And I'm not saying I confirm it, and I'm not saying that it is or isn't credible, but to me it's no more credible or less credible than any of the official quote-unquote news reports. But I'll just read it to you without drawing it out anymore. And it helps explain to me a lot of what's going on and how things transpired, and kind of helps me to lean more towards believing the rancher. So if anybody can confirm this story or disprove the story, let me know. Anyway, it goes by Shiree Bundy Cox. I have had people ask me to explain my dad's stance on this BLM fight. Here it is in as simple terms as I can explain it. There's so much to it, but here it is in a nutshell. My great-grandpa bought the rights to the Bunkerville allotment back in 1887, around there. He sold them to my grandpa, who then turned them over to my dad in 1972. These men bought and paid for the rights to the range and also built waterways, fences, and roads to assure the survival of their cattle, all with their own money, not with tax dollars. These rights to the land use is called preemptive rights. Somewhere down the line, to keep the cows from overgrazing, came the Bureau of Land Management. They are supposed to assist the ranchers in the management of their ranges, while the ranchers paid yearly allotment, which was to use to pay the BLM wages and to help with the repairs and improvements of the ranches. My dad did pay the grazing fees for years until the BLM until they were no longer using his fees to help him and to improve. Instead, they began using these monies against the ranchers. They bought all the rest of the ranchers in the area out with their own grazing fees. There's some grammar going on in here. When they offered to buy out my dad for a pittance, he said no thanks and then fired them because they weren't doing their job. He quit paying the BLM, but tried giving his grazing fees to the county, which they turned down. So my dad just went on running his ranch and making his own improvements with his own equipment and his own money, not taxes. In essence, the BLM was managing my dad out of business. Well, when buying him out didn't work, they used the endangered species card. You've already heard about the desert tortoise. Well, that didn't work either, so then began the threats and the court orders, which my dad has proven to be unlawful for all these years. Now they're desperate. It's come down to buying the brand inspector off and threatening the county sheriff. Everything they're doing at this point is illegal and totally against the Constitution of the United States of America. Now you may be saying, how sad, but what does this have to do with me? Well, I'll tell you. They will get rid of Cliven Bundy, at the last man standing on the Bunkerville allotment, and they will close all the roads so no one can ever go on it again. Next, it's Utah's turn. Mark my words, Utah is next. Then there's the issue of the cattle that are at this moment being stolen. See, even if Dad hasn't paid them, those cattle do belong to him. Regardless where they are my father's property. His herd has been part of that range for over 100 years, long before the BLM ever existed. Now the feds think they can just come in and remove them all and sell them without a legal brand inspection or without my dad's signature on it. They think they can take them over 2 borders, which is illegal, as ask any trucker. Then they plan to take them to the Richfeild Aucion and sell them, all with our tax money. They have paid off the contract cowboys and the auction owner, as well as the Nevada brand inspector, with our tax dollars. See how slick they are? Well, that's in a nutshell. Thanks. Again, I don't give it any more or any less credibility than any of the other news reports I've heard. So if anybody knows if that's really what's going on or not, but I just wanted to mention it because it's worth throwing out there in the pool of all the other information that's floating around. So hope that helps. Later.